have to realize that we are a globe.
When they built unions, though, that it was a little different.
Yeah, I get it, but we've gone too far. Just like everything, the pendulum swings one way too far, now we're swinging the other way way too far. And this is what happens.
Biggs and Boggs.
Out of your shower? Yeah, I did. Actually, I made her come back.
Oh, hey guys, welcome back to your feature hand with Biggs and Boggs. I'm Marty Boggs.
And I'm Julian Biggs.
And we got Spencer on Sound and Screens. Thanks for joining us today, folks. We'd like to come at you once a week or so and share our journey through this transitioning world of finance and talk about some subjects that we believe will benefit your future hand, simply because it's benefited ours. So we're just here to help, folks. So why don't you give us some help and smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, click the bell for notifications, select all, and let's get right into it. What are we up to today, and how can we plan for tomorrow? Julian.
Right on. Solid intro. Yeah, we're going to talk about some CBDCs today. Big changes, as Marty said. How many countries have got into the BRICS alliance? The GDP is actually changing into the hands of the BRICS alliance, and the G7 countries are on the downhill.
Big news.
What is going on? First, as always, the markets go.
Markets go.
Okay, so we are looking at the Bitcoin versus US dollar chart on the 12-hour time frame here, and we've kind of formed this bit of a diamond pattern over the last 3 weeks. So we're looking at the last 3 weeks in time on the 12-hour duration, and it got this diamond drawn out here with some places that it's been in this diamond. Isn't it pretty? It's pretty. I think it's pretty.
Diamonds.
Anyway,
nice.
so this blue line that goes kind of center, it depends where you put it. So you can put it on the center of the back. So it, a diamond's not always going to be a perfect shape. You know what I mean? When they come out of the ground, right? So if you put it on the center here, it is acting as support. If you go to the center of the top one, it is the resistance. So I've got these two lines here kind of marking out where it's been for the last couple of days, few days here. And it's been staying in here pretty tight between
you know how it does get perfect? Manipulation.
27,880 and about
28K.
28.1. But the thing with this blue line through the center, I wanted to draw attention. We're going to go to this is all of Bitcoin's price data. So going right back to the beginning of time in the 2011 low is where this line goes to, and that is what goes through the center of the diamond that we're in now. You can see that it acted as a little bit of a bounce, and then we fell through into that first bear market. It acted as resistance again at 2019.
And look what happened when it broke.
And then, here, broke here. You can see the bounce off it there. And then you can see a little bit of resistance again, and we're now coming above that. So this, in my opinion, this is really significant, and I do think that the longer we hang out here, the more likely it is to go up again. So we're talking about numbers around 30, 32K, hopefully coming in the next couple of weeks, but we know that they like to shake everybody out first, so it could come with a dump. We got jobs data coming up, and that's going to majorly affect the markets and what's going on.
I think next week's going to be a big week. We got a lot of stuff coming out. Also, we have an Ethereum upgrade coming out next week, which I do believe is going to allow a lot of people that have been staking for a long period of time to get their coins back.
Right.
So we might see some people take some profits in Ethereum, which is going to bring the market down in general, most likely. So, I mean, I have honestly been thinking 25K for a while now, just because that was our previous resistance. In January and February, and then we finally did break it. And most of the time when you see resistance and it breaks out, you want to have it retest as support for confirmation to continue your move up. Because if we see too much upward movement or momentum and it doesn't come back down, it's not really priced in properly. It's weak. It's like we say, it has no legs, and it's going to come crashing down really quick. So we want to see a bit more of a consolidation in this area, maybe a little bit more of a shakeout, like Julian was just saying, before we head back up again, because they don't, like we've said before, they don't just let you get rich. Like they want you to scare you out before they move the price back up, right? So, but either way, I think we got a move coming this week.
Right. So the significant level here for me, in my opinion, right now, is this 38.2% fib level of the bearish trend, and that's around 27. I'm going to say 27K to 27.4.
Right.
And if we get below that, like Marty said, 25K is possible.
If we close below that, we could see a wick. Like even this week, we could see a wick down to 25.
Right. Yeah. Back. Okay. Yeah. So if we start getting daily closes down there, that's I'm going to be a little worried. We're going to start to see some lower numbers. I think possibly a test of that last 21.4 again. So. a sharp wick down, like we said, a shakeout. Yeah.
Well, let's just say like what the Fed's trying to do right now is to crush this market. They're trying to crush this market. They're trying to crush all markets. In my personal opinion, what I see to be quite obvious is they are going to continue to raise interest rates. And because we've already seen the damage done to the banks with what they've done so far, and they, in my opinion, are going to continue to do so until they crush the economy and put everybody out of jobs and put everybody to
create the problem,
and
deliver
then
the solution.
Exactly, and then provide the solution with your CBDC.
Yeah.
So, folks, if anybody is ever out on the streets and they offer you some CBDCs, just say no. You don't want it. You don't want CBDC. If you have ever, there's a lot of people out there that have talked to about crypto, and they hate basically everything that they hate about it, the privacy, non-privacy, this and that. CBDCs is what you hate about crypto. That's the kind of stuff where if you're using their currency, they can literally shut your bank account off immediately. That's like literally all in one big pocket file.
And they can do that now though too. That's the thing.
Not with Bitcoin though.
Not with Bitcoin, no. But I mean, look at what they did to the truckers, for example, during that. They shut down their bank.
And what did the truckers do?
Well, they were using
Bitcoin. They turned to Bitcoin.
And then they had that kind of seized because they weren't using private keys. They had it on exchange, and it was actually seized on exchange, right? So they can't actually take that Bitcoin, but they could stop it from being moved anywhere because they have control of Coinbase, right?
Okay. So
or whatever the
like we've said before, it's a developing technology, right? Not everything's perfect just yet, but the lines are there.
Bitcoin and private keys.
Yeah.
Did you hear about those two twins? They bought $5 billion. They bought 70,000 Bitcoin, and then they printed 3 copies of the private keys, and then they stored those in 3 different banks around the world, and then fucking smashed the laptop that never had internet connection and buried that in concrete. So there's obviously some people that see some time capsule value in this stuff, but the idea is you have to have your private keys, and especially if you're someone with billions and billions of dollars that maybe they got some enemies or who knows. I don't really know much about those twins, but you know what I mean. That is just it. With the changes that are happening, you got to have some Bitcoin and private keys and custodianship of that Bitcoin. Right,
Yeah.
that is what is safe. And honestly,
want to keep your value protected, because even right now they can shut down your bank account if you're holding your stuff in a bank. It's not your money. You can go read the fine print whenever you start a bank account. As soon as you put your money into the bank, it's no longer legally yours. The money that you put in is legally theirs, and they now IOU. They give you an IOU. They don't owe you your money back. They give you an IOU.
Fractional reserve lending, baby.
Right. So like literally when people say "and it's gone." Like the South Park joke, it's true. It didn't come from nothing. Like you put your money in a bank, it's like literally gone.
Yeah.
Because they can now do whatever they want with it, right? So they invest it in high risk assets. Probably they get burned, and then they lose all your money, and then they just get bailed out. But you still lose your money.
Right.
It's brutal.
Right.
So obviously, all this stuff was invented by very smart people that want to change the system because they're tired of getting burned by the man.
Yeah.
And these big banks and stuff just keep getting bailed out. Like, that's BS.
Got to burn to learn, just like crypto.
Well, you don't take losses, you take lessons. If that happens to you once in the bank and you continue to go back with the bank, well, the shame on you, man.
But at the end of the year, you can sell some Bitcoin, claim the losses, and then buy the Bitcoin back.
Yeah, which is probably another reason what we might see soon here because tax season.
So
right?
that's the thing. And a lot of people think, oh, it's just going to go back down into another bear market. But it's like, okay, look at the first quarter run, okay? To think that the rest of the year is just going to be a dull market and nobody wants to make any money for the rest of the year is just crazy to me. So, I mean, markets obviously have a lot more room to go up.
It's definitely crazy for anybody to think that it's going to be a dull year. We are going to see one of the craziest years for this year and next year. So next year to 18 months is going to be insane. They already talked about implementing CBDCs in July this year.
Well, they're working on it huge and nobody's paying attention because
they're talking about Trump going to jail.
They arrested. Yeah, exactly. They arrested.
Isn't that crazy? Anytime you see Trump in the news, something's going on.
Yeah.
Something that he is literally the main guy that they go and talk about when something else they don't want you to know about is happening.
Yeah, exactly.
You see Trump in the news, go do some of your own research for somebody else. So funny too. Actually, I had another friend over here for a little private consult last week, and he was asking me, he's like, dude, how do you know all this stuff before it happens. I'm like, I don't know it before it happens. I just know it when it happens. Then the mainstream media isn't going to tell you for 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe months after it happens. I'm just telling you when it happens.
Yeah, because we're paying attention.
Exactly.
To I follow the money, not the news. You know what I mean? Because
exactly.
The financial market is what steers all of this fucking chaos. Shit
exactly. If you're looking at the charts, then you know what's happening.
Yeah.
When it happens, basically, and everybody else thinks before. But like,
speaking of the charts here, the 4 hour, you can see this volume decreasing here, and we got this.
Well, just think about it this way. Just one more thing. Like, if you're relying on somebody else to give you information, then that somebody else is going to benefit themselves first before they tell you. Right? So they're going to fill their bag before they tell you.
Yeah. And how much are they holding? Like the U.S. has, for the last 100 years or so, they've had kind of control of finance and what goes on globally in trade and stuff like that, right? But
we're obviously seeing a major shift happening.
A major shift happening. And now they're one of the largest holders, right? So if they see this change coming too, like a lot of people, we think our government's stupid because they never tell us the truth, but they're not stupid. They got other things going on.
They just want to keep you stupid.
And they've got a 10, a 20, a 30, a 40, 50-year agenda. You know what I mean? Like, they're planning this stuff way in advance. They knew this was coming. They knew Bitcoin disrupted the system. Mm-hmm. They knew they had to switch to a digital dollar. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's why I believe they're going to crush the economy as we know it with the interest rates and then provide the solution.
But if their CBDC fails and Bitcoin continues to take precedent, then they have to have a bag full.
Which I think will happen because there's too many people that are open, awake, or whatever you want to say, aware of the truth of what's happening these days because of decentralization, right? Because we talk peer to peer. That's the whole thing with Bitcoin and crypto is it's peer to peer. It's not all of us looking at one guy for information. It's all of us conversing and discussing amongst each other to find the solution. The network effect. It's going to take over, man. The people that are lazy, okay, so for instance, like, went to the bank with wife a little while ago, and she just wanted me to be there. She was dealing with her stuff. She just wanted me to be there for support. I was like, sure, I'll just listen, and if I have something to talk about or whatever. So the person's talking to my wife, and just crazy words, and I can just see she's frustrated. She has no idea what's going on. And eventually, like, he just wants her to say, you know what, I don't know, just take it and go, right? He is basically just throwing out a bunch of BS until she says, you know what, I have no idea what you're talking about. Here's my money, just do something with it, right? That's what he's trying to do. He will literally sit there and talk about it. And I just said, you know what, babe, let's get out of here.
And it's honestly it's not that complicated. No, right? It's not that complicated. And they make it seem complicated so that you trust them with your value.
Exactly.
And you don't need to.
No.
Unbang.
It's madness.
Unbang.
It's madness. And they're not that smart. They're not any smarter than you.
The funny thing is that it's madness that we see it as madness, but we're seen as the people who are mad.
Yeah.
So you need to be a little mad in this world to make it and to see things as they really are, because they don't show you the truth. You're not showing the truth.
No.
Right?
You got to put some time into yourself, invest in yourself, make sure that you're worried about yourself, and then figure this stuff out for yourself to get somewhere and to get ahead in life.
Last segment was a lot of words. That was all great. Yeah, that was all great. Anyway, I wanted to just looking at this chart again. I think this diamond pattern is significant. You can see the 4 hour kind of changing structure again here and trying to get back above this little blue line. So definitely big moves coming this week. We're going to be watching for it. I think jobs data is this week, which would greatly impact the market. And if we are going to see a major decrease in jobs, so that's the thing I wanted to go back to there too. So jobs and the jobs market definitely have a major impact on the labor market and what's happening with finance and stuff like that. And Goldman Sachs is predicting that AI, not even just the labor issues that are happening right now, but AI, they predict it taking like 300 million jobs over the next X amount of years.
You can't stop it now. So there's a reason why people are screaming to stop AI.
Back to the belief
Too late.
Cash is king. Like, it's not king anymore. We now have, for the first time, a new innovation in the money system, which we've needed for a long time, was advancement in the money system. So we now have new technology.
You know what's funny?
A new way of dealing with money and transactions, right? And it's really going to fucking shake shit
The
up.
guy that thinks cash is king probably lives in a condo. Where are you going to put all your cash? Like, eventually you're going to have so much cash that you're literally not going to be able to fit it in your condo, and it's going to be worthless.
Well, you line the walls with. There's always money in the banana stand.
They keep printing more, and it devalues your cash. Like, there's no point in having this much cash. You can't buy anything with it.
Speaking of which, so I wanted to look at this. We got
purchasing power of the dollar. Let's check it out.
So here we go. And this is basically a history of the dollar and what gave it its value at which times and when they signed the Bretton Woods Agreement for U.S. trade being settled in the U.S. currency, yada yada, so on and so forth. When the gold standard
How did they do
was
that?
abandoned. What do you mean?
How did they establish?
Through war and poaching everybody's gold, obviously, right?
Raping.
So, I mean, when did the U.S. dollar really start to take precedent? After World War I, started kind of taking precedent over the pound sterling, and that was a result of the war. And then, the same thing after World War II, and it was the Bretton Woods Agreement, and they kind of established that the gold standard and the U.S. dollar was going to be the world reserve currency. Mm-hmm. And why? Because they probably was at that time increasing their gold stash.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah,
right?
and you know what? The thing about gold is, if they want it, they can break in, kill your people, and take it.
Yeah,
they can't do that with Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, they can't.
That's why you're not going to see.
That's what they don't like.
Exactly right. We can't take that from you. You're not going to see another war like we had World War I and World War II. If you're like, World War III is coming, it's already happening. Yeah, you're seeing it right now.
Wow, that's what it very could be.
It's a trade war. This is World War III.
Like if this was a crypto market, like I wanted to point out, if this was a crypto market, some sort of crypto token, everyone would say this was a rug pull or a scam.
Fuck your life.
Right? Bing bang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's, but everyone's like, crypto's a scam. But, I'll make a visual actually of the 20 different bank charts that have all sewered over the last couple of months, right? Like everyone's like, crypto's a scam, this and that. Well, guess what? Everything in crypto and the innovations on blockchain is going up as everything else is going down in value. Now, I'm not going to say the tech stocks and the S&P aren't decent places because they have seen some gains this year.
What's actually interesting? I looked at a chart yesterday that was the S&P compared to the gold price. Yeah. It's basically been going sideways.
Yeah, it's
the only reason the S&P is spiked up so much is because we look at it compared to the dollar.
And to hope for
the dollar, excuse me, the dollar is dying.
To hope for 10% is like, man, 10% take your 10%.
Gold's been going sideways for 10 years. The S&P's been going sideways for 10 years. But if you look at them on a chart compared to the dollar, it looks like they're skyrocketing. It's so funny, but no, it's not. They are holding their value while the dollar goes down. Yeah. Right? It's all in comparison.
And so we got CoinMarketCap here. This is kind of just an overview of the entire market. Bitcoin dominance went way up here, 46%. I think the last time we showed you it was around 42, 43.
Yeah, and it almost hit 50. I think it was at 48
which is major. So like I said, I should have pulled up that chart, but the Bitcoin dominance chart had just reached its resistance level. And in my opinion, if it broke past that, that's when we'd probably see that massive inflow of who knows?
Well, breakout traders.
And the other thing is it does need a little bit more regulation before people with really large capital start to safely onboard.
But honestly, let's be honest. The way the humans work, it's going to take off before the regulations are made. Everything's always late and behind.
If your billions of dollars are tied up in the traditional finance system, do you think it's going to be easy for you to go and get it out of their system to put it into Bitcoin?
Well, no, but the government can put theirs into Bitcoin whenever they want.
Oh, of course they can.
So they're going to fill their bags first. That's what I'm saying. It's going to take off before everybody else is allowed, before there's a spot ETF, which they're talking about, they have been talking about for years. Bitcoin will eventually trade on the NASDAQ. And when it does, that's when it opens all these, that's when it opens for everybody else to literally pour trillions of dollars into it. But I think it's going to be over 100K before there's a spot ETF. Well, for that very reason.
People are saying it's going to be $1 million by July.
And that's because compared to the US dollar, because they're calling for hyperinflation, which honestly, like we've said before, you don't get a warning for hyperinflation. It just happens.
And the thing, that representation of the dollar here, this shows you, you know what I mean, a basket of goods and what you could have filled. So you know what I mean? When you could have got a bag of groceries for 25 cents and now it's $200 for a bag of groceries. You know what I mean? And Bitcoin is deflationary by design. So if we're going and we're measuring things in Satoshis, say a bag of groceries 1 year costs you 25,000 sats.
Yeah.
A couple years from now, that same bag of groceries is only going to cost you 15,000 sats.
Yeah.
Because it's deflationary by design.
Better way to go.
It's a better way to go.
Yeah. It's funny actually. Yeah. So the word cent is Roman for 100.
100, yeah.
Century.
Yeah.
100 years. We have 1 cent as the smallest denomination of money that we have.
Yeah.
So think about that. It was 100 of something at one point. Why would they call it a cent if it's only 1 of something? Just think about that.
That's deep.
Cool. Okay, because it's been around for hundreds of years, right? We only really get to look at the last 100 years when you get to go on the internet and the things we learn in school. We don't really get to learn about previous centuries, right? So that 1 cent may have, well, obviously was a big deal at one point, and now we don't even have the cent anymore.
Well, that's because they cut all the corners off of it and started taking the
Well,
value
right?
out
So
of it,
it's
right?
basically like
mashing it with other metals.
If we went to look back to the history of currency all the way from the beginning, there's always one brought in, and then it starts to become worthless, so we have to bring a new one in, and it becomes worthless, we have to bring another one in. It becomes worthless, now we have to bring the U.S. dollar in. It's becoming worthless, now we have to bring another one in.
That's why people don't get. I'm like, it's going to be no different.
Yeah.
Like, fiat doesn't win. Fiat fails every time.
It's happened over and over and over again.
It's designed to fail.
It's designed to fail. It's designed to ignite the economy, right? It serves its purpose. But we have modern technology now. We live a whole different life than any other civilization has ever lived on this planet, as far as we know. So as far as we're allowed to know. But like, clearly it's not the same anymore, right? So we have the next step right here in front of us. Early adopters will benefit.
I was going to mention that too, and that goes for any new innovation. Okay, the people who invest in the future benefit always.
Yeah,
and like, it's going to be, it's time and time again. It doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. The people who invest in the future, they benefit and become they gain value from it. So it's either you invest in it or become a product of it, because you'll just buy all the innovative stuff. You'll be a consumer of the future rather than an investor of the future, right? Because
exactly,
eventually the whole everything will change, and by that time you're going to go, fuck,
it's too late.
I wish I was DC.
And how many people say that with everything? Oh, I wish I bought this. I wish I did that.
I could have bought Apple. I could have bought Amazon. You know what I mean? Like, I wish. And like, now this is the next.
You
step.
have to take risks. You're not gonna make, get rich. You're not gonna make value by not taking risk. If you aren't rich, the only way to get rich is to take risks, a lot of risks, with a little bit amount of money.
Stand around and smoke cigarettes all day.
And then stay rich, you take little risks with a lot amount of money. But if you're like a lot of us, you're in the 99.999% and you're not rich, quotes, whatever.
So
you need to. You've got nothing to lose. Like, you sent me that video the other day. Like, you've either got nothing to lose, then what? Like, what are you worried about? Oh, because the mainstream media is going to tell you that it's not.
We're also so worried about what everyone thinks. Too,
exactly, right? Like, people have to look at it in a different perspective. That's what I was trying to get at. Like, if you have nothing to lose, then what are you waiting for?
I'm not going to do that until everyone else is doing it.
Yeah,
right.
But
the funny thing is like it's like, especially with our content too. So we get a lot of people, like, not a lot of people, but a few people who reach out in private message and stuff like that, and it's great, and I want to help and everything else, but you know what I mean? If you
don't be scared.
Don't be scared. Ask us in the comments, because if you find value in the content enough to private message me, then ask in the comments, because that's what's going to benefit and bring value to this whole community.
There's also other people.
It's a community.
There's other people
that are going to benefit from everybody. Like, maybe there's someone else who's afraid to ask the same question. So please do us a favor and get in the comment section. If you got questions to ask us, let's do it there. Let's build a community around the awareness, and everybody gets the knowledge rather than the private.
We're here to help by bringing us together.
Yeah,
it's all about communication and discussion. If the more that we all get involved and all discuss, the better it is for all of us, right? If you're scared, you don't want to get in, or you want to watch from afar, then you're not going to benefit it. You're only going to maybe hear a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You're not going to hear the whole conversation, right? And you gotta just, don't be afraid. If you got nothing to lose, get into it, right? Like,
I mean, don't test the water with both feet, but fuck.
Just dip a toe in. Just dip a toe.
Anyway, I think we're...
Well, I don't know. I think we got a bit more time here. What about this BRICS Alliance thing? That's a pretty big deal.
Right.
Pretty big deal that no one's talking about.
So basically what pushes the value of the economy too is GDP growth, right? So I had this, and I should have threw it on here, but I had an image.
Well, the way I see it is the United States has been protected because of their consumption.
Here shows the G7 countries total and the BRICS total GDP percentage in the world right now. So the economy is literally now flipping into, the majority being in the East's hands as opposed to the West, where it's always been.
Right.
Or not always been, but for the last 100 years.
Well, the only reason it has been is because the West has been consuming. Consume. And for us to consume, we have to give them our money. Right. How many things do you see made in the United States or made in Canada? Some, but not very much. Everything's made in India. Everything's made in China. Everything's made in the East, right? So we have to give them our money in turn for their product to maintain power, because all they want is the money. They don't really care.
How many people have joined BRICS now? Like, it's it's a lot.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's a lot of people on the list just waiting to
Well,
sign in.
because the United States is no longer consuming. For one, people just don't have enough money to consume anymore. People are
their
being
dollars
stretched.
are worthless.
Exactly. So people are being stretched thin so they can't consume. And not only that, we see things like tiny homes and small footprints being popular because of that.
Stupid
So
tiny homes.
all that type of stuff, although it is good for the planet, and we're going to have no choice but to be self-sustainable here at some point, right? Because we're getting cut off.
I honestly don't think the whole 15-minute city thing is a bad idea. Like, everyone's all fucking scared of that. Like, I don't think they're gonna, like, like, it's not gonna Truman Show. You're not just gonna, like, hit a wall and you're never gonna be able to get out of it or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it's based on efficiency.
Like, exactly. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing, because you know what? Then there's actually more land that gets to flourish
For
and
trees
grow resources
and
right?
animals
and free
and
energy
bees.
sources and all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Right. So these ideas that, like, oh, they want to sell it's all trapped. It's like, that 15-minute city is not a bad idea. Then everybody gets to go enjoy fucking real wildlife.
If you're worried about saving the planet, like, we're the problem. So we need to take care of that.
People's bad attitude and desire for more.
We see it. We're rounding off. Like, the trend is changing. So things are obviously changing. We obviously have somewhere else that we need to go, because from where we are coming from and where we have been, we're seeing the effects of it being completely negative and not working. So obviously we need to figure something else out. And that maybe that's going to be these 15-minute cities. Maybe that's going to be a new way of value, a new way of measuring value, a new way of just doing everything.
Like, look at any major city in the States right now. It's like, it's a dystopian freaking nightmare.
Well,
down
actually,
there,
you know what?
Like, in all the major cities, right? And so it's like there's billions and billions of dollars in value flooded by poor people.
Exactly.
Like, no offense to
New
poor
York
people,
City in 1905, everybody wanted to go there because it was growing, right? Everyone wanted to go there because it was the city that was going to get built up. And this is what happens when you have a city that's coming from nothing and being developed. That's where money is made.
Yeah.
But then once the city is developed, then there's no money to be made. So people move on. And in some cases, cities get completely crushed, turned into third world countries.
Yeah. Well, if the U.S. dollar collapses, they're next.
Well, they're exactly right, because there's no more money to be sucked out of it. They've done everything it's finished. They've squeezed everything they can out of it. Yeah. Now it's worthless. Now people...
You either own a building or you're sitting in front of it.
Yeah.
Asking for change.
Yeah. And the thing is that building has nobody in it.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's got $180 million condos in it.
The development is where the money's made. And that's unfortunate, because it's a terrible way of life. But hopefully, like, things like Bitcoin will change that, because there is, when they keep adding money to the supply, that's what keeps making things develop. Yeah. That's what keeps building these buildings. In China, they build condo buildings and they just tear them down.
So now
just to keep people working, just to give the illusion of jobs.
And we've built the society now, but now we just need to
sustain
advance the technology around our monetary policy.
Exactly.
Right?
So
that's
we're
the
at a turning
only thing
point.
that hasn't advanced.
Exactly. And the education system. But we're at a turning point here, right? We either change our ways in this new digital era, or we crack and we fall back down and somebody else does it somewhere else. Because the people that own the world, the billionaires and trillionaires in this world, they're not American, they're not European, they don't have a citizenship. They just move their money where development is happening. So obviously Dubai right now is a massive country of development, and again, no taxes over there, so they just let the people and the innovators innovate, they let the contractors build, they let all those people do those things without taxing them.
Why do you think of people like in Monaco? Like, you don't get a 150-meter yacht in Monaco with paying taxes.
Honestly, the government, it just like holds people down. That's really all it does. It doesn't help you much really at all.
It's a sham. We're being screwed.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's funny because we demonize the rest of the world, the communists and everything else. We demonize them and we don't even understand how they live or how, you know what I mean? Like, it must be terrible in Russia.
Nobody has any idea about what happens on the other side of the Atlantic over here. Like, nobody has any idea. Right? That's another thing too. It's like,
but now they're going to expose it all.
Yeah.
And almost liberate us from this fucking gross system that we've been held down by, right? Because if Germany joins BRICS, the EU is done. Yeah. Too. Like, that'll wipe out the European dollar. Yeah. Right? Or their currency, right? So,
And we have to think about this. Like, the way that the strong economies were built.
Big changes.
We're hardworking people, hardworking, badass motherfuckers.
We don't need men.
I am not even joking. Like people,
we don't need men.
People nowadays that want to not work and want to like unions ruin the world. Unions ruin the West. I don't care what you say. Look into it. But this whole soft labor bullshit. I want 2 months of vacation. But you have to realize that we are a globe.
When they built unions, though, that it was a little different.
Yeah, I get it. But we've gone too far. Just like everything, the pendulum swings one way too far. Now we're swinging the other way, way too far. And this is what happens. We are up against, like, think of it on a global scale. We are up against people in China and India that will work 366 days a year. Yes, I added an extra day. Maybe even a leap year. I don't know. They're going to work like
if you work by that one guy's schedule, by noon of that one day.
Exactly.
That's one day.
Right?
By 6 p.m. That's
right?
2 days.
So you want 2 months of vacation?
That up over a month.
You want 2 months of vacation? You're fighting against the guy that will work overtime every day. Like, think about that. Those are the countries that are going to be developed because those are people that want to work. That's where the money's going to go. That's where the billionaires are going to put their investments.
India and China have half the world's population.
Yeah, and they and every single person over there grinds.
Right? Yeah,
they grind. And just to get by. And over here, we want 2 months of vacation or we're not going to take a job.
Or, that's
the attitude that's going to crush us. And people don't realize that.
Yeah.
That's
why
it.
I think that fucking Andrew Tate is part of the psyop. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's like so clung on to that guy's balls. But I feel like he was probably paid. They freaking blew him right up.
Oh, yeah.
Because America knows they sewered their freaking the next generation.
Yeah. The kids.
They're weak. They're fat. They're lazy. They're blue-haired fucking morons.
Yeah.
Right?
The only possibility they have is technology.
Yeah.
So if we don't adopt this technology,
build the strength in men again.
If we don't adopt this technology, which was created in America, by the way, Bitcoin was created in America. You can quote me on that if you want to. Do your own research. But like this is our only chance here in the West. If you don't have this, if you're not willing to get onto this plane or this train or whatever the fuck you want to call it, like, then we're done. Because there's other people over there that want it more than we do. And they have nothing to lose.
Yeah. So
they're going to fucking go.
Yeah.
We have everything to lose.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. Drop a like. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We'll catch you on the next one. Biggs and Bogs out. Peace. Holy shit.
Biggs and Bogs.
I mean, it's always a good idea to have a beer before the episode.
I love it when